What's going on, gamers? Hopefully everybody's having a good morning. Well, we got some news that I knew that was going to kind of be what I thought, and doggone Chud's Jason Schreier is here to pretty much confirm what I thought was pretty much the case. And this is what Sony thinks about what happened with the physical format cancellation. They just gave their thoughts about it. Are we ready to become a member? Leave a tip down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into this. So it says, Jason shared new information about the future of physical format on PlayStation. And there's a lot to talk about here. Sony considers that its digital player base is already, guys, these are key words here. Zoom in a little bit more for you guys in case if you're on mobile. Considers that its digital player base is already large enough to do without those who continue buying games in physical format. Ooh. So right off the bat, Sony just gives you the middle finger, I guess, if you want to buy physical copies for games. Unless somebody comes and challenges them in the law world and tells them that they can't get away with that, just walk up by them so you guys can tell, then it seems like Sony's ready to sacrifice the physical media. Physical disc, forget about it. It seems like they're not going to go back. Remember what I was telling you before? That what they're going to do is they're going to look at it as whatever's left for physical, whoever converts to digital, whoever leaves PlayStation in the physical world, they feel like they can make up for that and it's not going to matter. Looks like I was spot on, wasn't it? This is what they're telling you. See, Sony considers that its digital player base is already large enough to do without those who continue buying games in the physical format. When they say Sony too, it's like, it's that CEO and whoever else. And it's like PlayStation says Sony. This is where people are going to feel like this guy needs to go or he needs to be fired so that things could be changed. Well, guys, you're going to have to keep pushing. Because this right here is telling you everything, just even on the first sentence here. Then it says, the company will not change its retail distribution model. Stores will continue selling boxes. Microsoft started this first. But, I mean, yeah, this is just pointless to me. The company will not change its retail distribution model. And we know we have enough in the digital world to continue. Stores will continue selling boxes, but these will only include a download code. Now, I'll tell you, I told a lot of people, even when this was going on, I always thought that was dumb as hell. Because why would I waste my time trying to hope that that code doesn't have any problems when I could just buy it digitally and not take up physical space for something that's not inside there? You see what I mean? There's always a worry with the download code. People are always worried about. Why not just download it digital and buy it, and you don't have to worry about a code? It's the same thing, right? Except I have to waste my time and get in my car. I have to drive all the way to the store, and I have to get a plastic disc box. So there could be some download code in there. The point of driving to a place physically is to get something physical. I need the disc. They're letting you know right now, right? Unless they change their mind, right? Unless something happens in law or something else happens, it's going to just be download code boxes. That's kind of stupid. Currently, when Sony sells a first-party physical game to a retailer, the latter gets around 30% in the sell price of the sell price. We knew this, right? I don't know if you guys knew this. This is what I was telling you before. Like with physical, you have to pay all those people. Like Walmart's going to get their cut. Target's going to get their cut. Amazon's going to get their cut. Best Buy's going to get their cut. GameStop's going to get their cut. You see what I mean? All those places that you would go to physically get a copy, it's like that. And then they have to pay for the disc. By cutting all that off, with the 100% digital format, Sony would keep all of those revenues and they would decide the numbers. Even if they want to put the game on sale, they would still make more money because they're getting that. You see? Third-party publishers are obviously going to get what they're going to get. But the point here is that you make more money digital and you don't have to worry about that. Plus, you're not doing shipping or taxing when it comes to physical. They want to cut all that off. Cut off the middleman, basically. You see? This is what's going on here. See, with the 100% digital format, Sony would keep all of the money. As a result, the company expects to significantly increase its profit margins. It's right there in front of your face. This is about making more money. We know Microsoft makes the most ridiculous money, though. Not in gaming, though. In gaming, Sony makes the most money being a vampire. Nintendo, to me, is better because they can make the most money off of actually selling a good video game and not idle vampiring through microtransactions. Remember I told you about this before. If you're making more money selling video games and somebody's only making more money than you because it's third-party microtransactions, that doesn't mean that you're talented. That just means that you have the eye to see that you need that in your install base so that you can make idle money off of that. But you have more talent to me when you grew historically, like if you look at the resume of Nintendo, first party, handheld, and console off your main games mostly. That's way more talent than just, I got a whole bunch of other people's games and I'm making a ton of money. Steam does the same thing, except Sony was at least giving first party games. That's the difference here. But yeah, they want 100% digital profit. Even when they're splitting with other people too, they don't have to pay the middleman. And this is the future that they're going for. So it is a digital monopoly. And the biggest is the third-party digital monopoly that Sony is controlling. And that is a problem. Additional information from other reports. Sony will be convinced that over time, read this right here, Sony will be convinced that over time, most players will end up accepting the transition to a 100% digital ecosystem. The funny thing is, a lot of people mostly did, except those that are left over that want the physical medium to still be there. Even though I'm 100% digital, I don't like the digital monopoly. I don't like that you could just take it down whatever you want. But I'm not a guy that buys physical copies anymore in the PlayStation world. Nintendo world may be a little bit different because that's a different aspect. But in PlayStation, I could care less if I never bought another physical copy. But what I do care about is gamers getting the option, obviously. And having digital ownership in a sense of like, I can always have it, and it's not just a license you can get rid of. And they pulled that, what they did the other day on the PlayStation Store by getting rid of all of the movies and stuff like that. So just remember what I was telling you, that Sony is going to be convinced because of psychology. If you look at history, people just keep on going. And whatever they lose, whatever even they gain by shutting off that physical who converts into digital, they'll end up nulling and voiding that out. And this is the mentality that they have. The company also believes that users will continue supporting PlayStation even without the option to buy physical games. PlayStation is in such a good position that it is going to be hard to kill it off. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be so mad because they realize that Sony, if they continue with this and they don't reverse decisions, by 2028, we still got to that. We're still going to see what the law says because there's going to be a lot of things with that coming after them. That there's going to be a lot of people that will be angry that they realize that even though Sony said this, it still is going to pretty much end up being that way. Additionally, they consider that it is not necessary to maintain direct communication with fans about this decision, as they trust in the strength of the brand and the loyalty of their community. Oh man, see bro, this is where I said that, remember when they came out with that fight stick as a response? That was a metaphor towards the physical game community, saying that they're going to beat you. After reading all this pretty much 100% confirms that Sony gives you the middle finger if you're in the physical world, and they're willing to sacrifice you and continue forward. And they're not worried about your crying. They don't have to say anything to you. I'm trusting in the brand that I built and my loyal ponies and gamers in general who don't care about physical medium. They're practically coming out and saying this. And this comes from this page right here. And look at this. This has 3.3 million views now. This topic is far from being over with. Link Gamer says basically our fans are idiots, and over time they're going to swallow everything we give them. practically what he's kind of saying in a sense, or just most people just don't care about physical like you think. You're going to find out real quick. You could go take a look at what's been going on in the Xbox world for over a decade. Actually, longer than that, how bad it's been. I think like 12 years. And look at how some of them still defend Microsoft. Look, remember how bad it is in the Xbox world. Right? We've seen this before. Sony's seen it. Sony studied their base very carefully for a long time. Trust me, they do. Now, I love Nintendo the most. I've already stated this. But I liked PlayStation for like having a balance for price point value performance and having third-party games that I want to play at that setting that I want, you know, as a console gamer. And then some of the first-party games I've liked. Now, the funny thing about this post, though, about everything they said here, is that they're kind of giving you the idea that they don't necessarily have to play nice either. And that we got our brand power, we got our loyalty. And that I don't have to maintain direct communication with fans about this decision. Because this is going to be a business decision, a corporate decision, and a stock decision. Like, Totoki that went and made $5 million after this disaster, this PR disaster happened. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that want to come in here and definitely Xbox fanboys, but her Xbox fanboys, and try to kind of like be happy because they get to like slam Sony. It's like, you shouldn't be happy about this in general because you should want gamers to be in a better position. Sony has already admitted that 60% of the PlayStation brand, or 60% of the Sony company, is PlayStation. It's gaming. That's how big gaming is to Sony now. And it is crazy that they're pretty much letting you know right now, before 2028, because they believe it's going to pass. So you're going to accept the transition. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It literally is a middle finger by saying F you. No doubt about that. What effing arrogant statements? True. This is the CEO. This guy does not care about gaming like you think he does. He cares about money. They deserve what happened to the PS3, but multiplied times 10. Yeah, I mean, my thing is that, yeah, that guy's kind of a problem. Like, I kind of feel like he's one of those robot type people. People will mainly just refuse to buy this crappy console that the PS6 will be. That bunch of ungrateful bastards who only think about cash, the stock market, and couldn't give a damn about the players. Never. That's Hiroki Totoki for you. You saw how he banked off of your sorrow by announcing shutting down physical, right? Because he knows things that people don't know. And he went and made himself $5 million. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? PlayStation 1994 and 2026. That's absolutely hilarious. No disc, no buy. Right? Destroys disc. Weirdo brings in disc and then destroys it in the 6th generation pretty much. So guys, we're kind of getting the idea here. Folks really need to accept that disc format is going to go down in history. Well, same thing happened with DVDs, Blu-rays. This is it, guys. These are phenomenons that you should have expected eventually. Not saying that I think Sony should do that because of that, because they could definitely hold it, right? But they're not doing that. I loved them, but since the PS3, maybe PS4 DVDs didn't make sense anymore because you still had to download the rest of the game anyways. Outrageous, these statements. Sony really looks down on us from above. That's what they're doing. Almost as if they were sparing our lives. Disgusting. What this company has become. Total disappointment. What a condescending and arrogant way to treat their audience. Sony must fall. Sony has done this before. I called that out in the PS4 era. This company can be arrogant. That's why I used to criticize them a lot. And it wasn't just also because of their condescending statements, but it's because how they thought they could go and do things. And then they ended up having that live service rush crash because they got arrogant. It's like, but you're not a genius in the live service world. You're not going to get Fortnite hits left and right. Like, who do you think you are to do that? And Jim Ryan was cutting off the communication with Japan. Now we're going crazy. with just a lot of things, cutting off communities from crossplay, let them fade off because it's all about PlayStation. And like I told you before, they've done this before, and they got away with it in the PS2 generation to a certain extent. And in the PS3 generation, the karma hit them again. So it seems like Sony kind of wants that to happen again in a certain way, but they realize they will get past it. And because they have enough ponies, that's what they're saying, things are going to be fine. And I agree with what Elias is saying. It's pretty much an accurate statement. What they're doing is very arrogant for sure, no doubt about that. Panic Pew says PS4, PS5, PS5, PC. Here's my thing with this. It's stupid and hypocritical to post that. I don't really like this post because I kind of feel like it's dumb. Basically, what you're saying is that you're going to hypocritically leave a non-physical format and go to another non-physical format. Dude, PC has been that way. It doesn't make a difference. I can understand if you say some people will go into Nintendo, because that's where only physical is left, because you're not logically making sense. This is about physical formatting. If you're going to leave another realm and miss PlayStation exclusives and third-party money hats and second-party games because they're not giving you physical, and you're going to PC where they're not giving you physical, then you're doing the same thing to me. You're kind of like slow. Like that's not what this is about. This is about physical format. It's only left in a Nintendo world from a console perspective. This is a console problem. You see, we have to literally look at it that way. So this is what I was talking about before. Sony CEO Hiroki Totoki sold 225,000 company shares for approximately 4.73 million before the announcement of the end of the physical. And they said Sony, right? But he's the CEO of Sony and the president. This is the guy that's doing this, right? This guy right here. He's the one, right? Because if you guys didn't know, had the back up there. But yeah, this is the guy that's doing that. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. We pretty much have our answers. Remember, Jason is coming out and telling you this. If he says something, it's actually very serious. So they said it. Highlight, guys. Sony considers its digital base large enough, to continue. Going back to, additionally, they consider that they don't have to communicate with those other people outside of that, and they trust in the strength in the brand and the loyalty. And they're 100% convinced that over time, most players will end up accepting the transition. And they're going to still get their support without the option to buy physical games. And they get 100% profit. Significant increase in profit. Does this tie into the way that the AI market is at? Because we never talked about this, right? I think it definitely has a lot to do with it because they're not going to lose any money. AI is hurt everything more than you could imagine. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, hit that hype button, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. As usual, we really see that it looks like they're not changing their mind and they don't care about all that crying. They were sitting there like not saying anything on social media for quite some while, just looking. And if you're going to come out and post this, what this means is that they probably were laughing too. That's why that thumbnail I had, regardless of what some people were saying, is pretty much 100% correct. They're not going to subsidize and give you back physical games. It's right there in front of your face, guys. And I kind of feel bad for the physical medium because remember I said historically, PlayStation 1 was a disc phenomenon. They brought in the CDs, Sony CD, right? PlayStation 2 DVD player for $199. They brought in a DVD into the console. And in PS3, you had the Blu-rays, where Xbox 360 didn't have that. And in PS4, they did the PS4 disc phenomenon, where Microsoft tried the DRM lockdown and ended up shipping it back. It's just how you share a game. There was always something physical that Sony was doing where it was making people happy and it made people want to support them. They have so much physical history, it's crazy that they're going this far. Right? Remember the Walkmans? Though there wasn't about disc, but what I'm saying is that when you think about like what Sony mostly had their success off, it was physical, just like physical hardware movement. And they are really going to sacrifice their physical medium. It's crazy thinking that they're going to do that. And I wonder if they're going to come out and say that AI has something to do with this. I wonder if it doesn't. That would be even more insane because everybody's looking to not lose a lot of money because of this ridiculous AI market. But something tells me that even if that wasn't the case, because Rockstar doesn't have to worry about consoles or RAM, and they came out and they're going full digital. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about peering into that. Later, y'all. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below.